Hello, I think Mike has just completely disappeared from the face of the earth, so I have no idea what has just happened. But welcome to the UK Dallas Cowboys podcast. We're just waiting for Mike just to join back in, and I'll let him take over. But yeah, there he is.
It'll be all right on the night, won't it?
Yeah. You'll tell us out.
It's always the way. Just as soon as everything starts, everything always collapses.
Yep.
That's our UK internet connection, all right. That sounds about right.
I think it's just getting baked in the sun because we're in a massive heat wave right now. But yes, everybody, welcome. It is UK Cowboys TV. It is Thursday. It is 9. So, of course, it's UK Cowboys time. Welcome, everybody. Season 2, episode 125, the preseason edition. And football is back, baby. How are we all doing, guys?
Football's back!
Yeah.
Sunburnt to hell. Feel like I've done 20 rounds with Tyson Fury, but it's the weekend nearly, innit? We're nearly at the weekend, and like you say, Cowboys football's back, so the world is looking good again.
Yep.
Yes.
Spent the last hour on Twitter watching Dak Prescott run out of the locker room, loving it. Absolutely loving it.
The scenes from Oxnard of the players running down that wee sideway onto the field, like, yes.
It's just the loving of like knowing that there's so much coverage that's going to go on. It's like literally you go on every day to the Cowboys app just to see how many shows are going to be on. It's like, yes, evening planned, TV on, Cowboys app play, beer in hand, feet up.
Two press conferences already. I was watching it at the beach today, so you know.
That we will get into as well. But yes, guys, football is finally a camp is underway right now as we speak. Oxnard kicking off 7-on-7 at the moment. But we will get into a few things before we get started. First of all, as we start every show with the news and updates. So first of all, Lorne's already touched on it. We've had a presser. It was with yesterday's opening press conference, which we will talk about with Jerry's press conference. A lot to dissect. As we say, camp is officially open and underway. First day of practice, as I said, it's Thursday, so it's the first official day of practice. In other news, something that cropped up this week, I find it quite interesting. We'll talk about it later on, is the COVID vaccination situation. 85% is the rule that came into place. Jerry did mention in his presser, which we'll talk about that there's a handful being 5, apparently. Okay. But Michael Irvin did make a comment saying anyone who doesn't want to take the vaccine doesn't want to win, saying that that's their mentality, that there is no winning mentality with people who don't want the vaccine. Take it or leave it how you feel about that. That is what he said. Jerry did mention, I'll let you kick in. He said, I do listen to Michael Irvin. He's got a lot of respect for him. When he talks, he listens. But hit me with it, Paul. What do you think on that situation?
I completely agree 100% with Michael Irvin. Completely. Right.
Okay.
And it kind of goes like, I know we're not, the whole COVID situation is sensitive to a lot of people right now. Like, even for me, right, say for example, when it comes to the London games especially, they won't be able to fly out if they don't get vaccinated. Simple as that. Yep. It's the same with me. If I'm not vaccinated, I can go over and see my Dallas Cowboys. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So I'm all in favor for that. I mean, I can understand the logic behind it, but it's very, at the same time, it's like, it's not just about yourself, it's about others at the same time, you know? So what Michael Irvin is saying is like, I completely agree, because it feels as though, like, when you just kind of made that statement there, Mike,
yeah,
the players that are just not, like, for example, we'll use Cole Beasley as an example. He is willing to retire. So be it. There you go, pal. Don't retire. If you're not willing to want to go and win a Super Bowl, and not, then fair enough. Off you go. Don't live off.
He's actually made another comment, Cole Beasley, believe it or not. He said he's willing to get the vaccination if he gets paid for it.
That's not how the world works, Cole Beasley. I am sorry. You can royally go and fuck yourself for that comment. Sorry. I'm sorry, mate. Go and fuck off.
Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban's actually offered him some stock in Pfizer if he gets the vaccination, and the first figure that he actually offered Cole Beasley's come back and actually said no, it needs to be a higher figure than that. So he's already negotiating with Mark Cuban getting the vaccine as well. So you can imagine what the renegotiation of contract was like with Jerry. He would have been bartering the price up a hell of a lot, and that's why we let him go. So
it's the thing that, like you say, it's like Paul said, it's a touchy subject. Mm-hmm. Do I agree with my Irvin's comments? I don't know if I agree with the comments. I've had both mine, but I also understand the other side of people not wanting to get it. I say it's a choice in it, and I get it, and you know what I mean. And you've got to think of other people and stuff as well. But I also see it from the other side. It's just
yeah.
But I think more so as well. If you look at kind of what's not to kind of push it into a COVID conversation, but like you look at the stuff that's coming out of the press over this end, and like to start going to football stadiums and nightclubs and shit, that you've got to have had both your jobs and stuff. So it's like it's getting to a point in it where you're forcing people to have something rather than giving them the statistics behind having it of why you should have it. You know what I mean?
See, that's the thing that you just mentioned there. It's like I kind of feel so like if that's one thing I don't like about the whole scenario with the whole facts. Like I understand that we do need it, like to prevent it, but it does kind of feel like if we're going to have to go anywhere, it's now mandatory to have it now. It's like our free choice is kind of getting away. So like in a way, I love Michael Irvin's statement, but I can also agree, like, as much as I think Cole Beasley's been an absolute freaking idiot, but I can understand why. So,
Yeah. I mean, but going on to other things that are medical, we got some players already on PUP.
Already, man.
It's okay. So Tank is on PUP due to back surgery. That's looking not too bad.
I can see Graham going like that money, man. That money, that contract, that deal.
Someone get a fire extinguisher. His ears are burning.
He's had back surgery and he's just recovering from it. Also, who's had back surgery? Greg Zerline. Hunter Nizwander at the moment is taking over kicking duties, more in kickoffs for special team at the moment. Cooper, he's also on PUP from his surgery he had on his, I believe it was his ankle or his knee. It was his ankle, yeah. That's right, he was in a walking boot. But he's literally due to start practice anytime soon. I think it's just more of managing what he's going to do there. Tristan Hill, he's on rehab from a knee injury as well. So
that's
he's
out last season, right? That's the one
that's his ACL.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's still on rehab. But apart from that, there's a couple of other players with some nips and bumps that they're just going through at the moment, which they should know in terms of what's going on there. I did send a message to ask questions about it all. I haven't got a response yet, but obviously everyone's a bit busy. First day of camp and all the rest of it.
Just before you move on, Mike, guys, get your comments in. Let us know what your thoughts are about the whole injuries. Let us know about what you think about the camp coming up. Get your comments in, guys.
Yes, as always, it's an interactive show. We love to hear from you guys. Let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching from Oxnard, let us know. We'd love to speak to you guys over there. And wherever you are in the world as well, if you're not even from America and further on out, then join the club of trying to get as much information from the guys over there and feeding it out.
Just remember, Chris, it's not America's team, it's the world's team. So it doesn't matter where you are from the world, get your comments in.
That's right. But what I've done is I've made a load of categories, guys, because at the moment, as we say, so it's 9 o'clock, so it'll be 3 o'clock, no, 2 o'clock in California. So they are in full swing at the moment. We'll get all the news. We'll write some articles up as we always do to get some information out to you. So at the moment, what I thought we'd do is I'll give you some categories and you tell me what you think. You give me the player. So at the moment with camp, and I've got my answer on this one, who are you most excited to see? Just like the player or a position, perhaps as a coach, maybe it's the coverage or just generally everything. Hit me with it, Mr. Paul. Who's your guy?
Micah Parsons straight off the bat.
Okay.
The reason I'm like already, Cal Yeomans, a good friend of the show, is already tweeting about him saying, "Damn, quote, damn, Parsons is fast off the edge, off the edge." Now that's the key part, the edge. There we go.
Yeah. Go on, Ed. Somebody else hit me with who you're most excited to see.
Can I be greedy and go with 2?
I have an entire position group. But go on.
Typical Mike.
Go on.
So, first off, it's got to be the quarterback, and he's been out, he's been injured. Let's see him back on the field in a football
full swing.
Football surrounding, yeah. And also, I'm going to go with another ruck, but I'm not going to go with Mike Parsons. I'm going to go with Golston. You know how much I loved him building this draft. I am looking forward to seeing this kid play.
I have a really nifty stat that's going up on our Facebook tomorrow. Keep an eye out for it, Jay. You will love it.
Yes.
It's about Golston. But go on, Lon, hit me with it.
Well, Golston's one of the guys that's starting on the pup list.
Yeah.
So it'll be a few days before you see him. I mean, he can be activated at any time. So
correct.
Who knows? Bahana's the one I'm interested in. I want to see how he anchors. You know, for years we have been crying out for a big-bodied space eater to take up that middle of the defense, let the linebackers flow to the ball. You know, if he can cut it in the NFL, then I think great. You know, that's our set for the next few years at least. And that should make the linebackers play better.
Yeah.
And subsequently make the defense play better.
Graham, give me your answer, my little cinnamon stick.
Oh, God.
I do apologise for first-time listeners.
What
have I got myself into here? My answer is Kelvin Joseph.
Oh,
I want Kelvin Joseph to be cornerback number 2.
Okay. Well, you've answered.
Yeah.
You some of you have answered one of the questions that are further on down, and my answer to the question is the same as yours. The question was the rookie that you think needs the most work.
Oh, Jamie's got a call.
That's the on the phone in it. Sorry, guys. I'll put it on.
Yeah, so one of the questions I had is, which rookie do you think needs the most work? And the guy I put is Kelvin Joseph, purely on the basis of A, his snap count during college, and B, hasn't done any OTA work. But yeah, I'll go back to the original question now, who I'm most excited to see. And my answer is the entire O-line. The first time all those guys are back together.
Good shout.
The foundation really of what the Cowboys offense is based on. And they're all back together. It's, this Pro Bowl elite, one of the best O-lines, and they're finally all together. Let's do it. I want to see these guys. I'm excited for it.
Mike, can I add a second guy into the equation?
You can add as many as you want. You can be as excited as you want, Paul.
I'm actually quite excited to see Nashawn Wright as well. Because everyone's talking about him as well. Again, Kyle Yeomans made the tweet saying he almost had an interception during first team drills. So that to me is getting me quite excited because this is the whole thing. What Dan Quinn's looking for. He's looking for absolute ball hawks. So let's go. Let's fucking do it, man.
And on that
that's
note,
interesting. I was
go
going
on,
to say
go on.
that's interesting that he's already seeing time with the first team as well. So
Exactly.
Hey,
To your
and don't
point.
forget, I was just going to very quickly say, don't forget, we wrote an article on Nation Right a couple months back saying, watch out for this guy. We gave statistical evaluation and everything that he's based on. And yeah, it's already shining through. Come back to that question, though. But go on, Gray.
To your point about Tyron Smith, Mike, I apologise. I can't remember who posted the video on Twitter, but it was a video of Tyron Smith driving a defender. Again, I can't remember who the defender was, but he was driving the defender off the line, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's great. That's a fully fit Tyron Smith. But I just wanted somebody to say, right, okay, Tyron, that's you done for the day.
Yeah.
that's you done. Go and have a hot bath. Go and buy some bubble wrap and go home and play Madden. You're done for the day.
It's like we need to be super fragile with Tyron. We need to be.
No, just to quickly throw one more name in there. I'm looking forward to seeing Diggs as well. That kid was the best player on our defense last year. The rookie.
Yep.
Did anyone see that?
If he makes that second year league, that it is going to be awesome to watch.
Did anyone see?
He's already got an interception.
So guys watching, during our private chat, Graham sent us a photograph of Dak and Stephon Diggs, and they two were having a wee bit of a bickering with each other and that part. It's like, this is exactly what we want. We want a little bit of trash talk with the defense, a little bit of trash talk with the offense. That's exactly what you want. Get excited about football again. Exactly.
Fire.
Keeps them both sharp as well.
Exactly, man.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And there's no harm in Dak going to Trayvon and going, what was it that you saw there? That's only going to make him better. There's no harm in having a back and forth. Iron sharpens iron, as they say. But here's my next question.
I was going to say, mate, it's like it'll be the exact same for Dak telling Diggs. It's like, you could have did this, you could have did that to stop me from doing this.
Exactly,
That's what I want. You want him to give a bit of shit, and yeah, Dak deserves the respect because he's the leader of this team. But who was the kid that did it the other year? Did it to Dez, and him and Dez were just at it all practice.
Jordan
Lewis. It was Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis.
You don't want a rookie coming in and sitting on his ass and just being like, "Oh, I'm going to make this team." Give the veterans
the one we let go. Fuck.
Sure that you want it.
Yeah. Give you another example. You got. How good would Tyron Smith be if DeMarcus Ware wasn't lining up against him during his rookie season? Exactly. Those two worked on each other, and they would spend time after training as well, and actually sitting there, and teaching what do you do if this guy does that, and that was a good block you got on me there. How could I get out of that? So, they sharpened each other up to, and. Look at the way DeMarcus Ware was. Look at the way Tyron Smith ended up. If Tyron Smith just had a bog standard guy up against him, would he be the all pro that he is?
Yeah, a big shout out to Star Guy, our friend Prime here, man.
Funnily enough, we were just talking about them, me and Paul, before we came on air.
yeah, and then he just made the great comment about Nashawn Wright, which we were just talking about just there. And he also just said, Joseph better realize he's in a dogfight competition. You love to see it. Yeah. Exactly. We want competition. That's exactly what we want, man.
Exactly. But
just so far, you can just to say like you can tell all five of us are fired up, like literally. We're all about bouncing off the seats. Like, fucking go.
It's finally proper preseason training. I'm pumped. I'm fucking pumped.
Someone throw the Gatorade over Paul. He's winning the Super Bowl already.
But here's one for you. I'm gonna flip it back one, right? So come back down one. Who are you most least concerned about coming into camp? The guy that you're just like, you're gonna see the narratives cropping up, and you're gonna be like, okay. Who are you just least concerned about? I'll let you guys have a think. For me, it's Zeke. I'm least concerned about whatever the narrative comes out, unless it's about injuries. I really don't care. I know what Zeke is. We know what Zeke is. We know what happens when he's in camp. We know what the issues are with him and what happened last year. I'm not that worried. I'm just not worried about Zeke whatsoever. But Paul, I know you got a guy, so hit me with yours. Who are you least concerned about?
Mr. Zach Martin. That's who that
That's a good one.
As I'm very least concerned about, because he has always been Mr. Reliable no matter what. The guy, like, I think, God, I think he's only pretty much missed like maybe 2 games of his career with the Cowboys. I'm pretty sure, but the fact is, like, we can still utilize him in different positions as well when other players are out. So I have no concern when it comes to Zach Martin. No concern.
Yeah.
Before I give you my answer,
Dak is a good one.
Yeah, everyone's saying that. Yes, that's fair enough. Yep.
That was going to be my.
Sorry, Long, go on, buddy.
No, go on, Jamie. I was just saying that Dak was going to be my choice. I'll come back and say why once you've had your piece.
Cool, no, is it? But yeah, no, I don't think any of this will happen. But I'm going to agree with what you're going to say with Dak. Dak's the only person on this roster that isn't going to get cut this preseason. Not saying it like Zach might not anybody will, but Dak is the only one that is not at risk of getting cut. So he's the least of my worries.
The least of your concern.
Yeah, and all you really need is Dak to come back at the level he was playing at the first 5 games of last season. Hopefully, we hope he takes it to the next level again. But I mean, when you're passing almost 500 yards a game, you're on pace for almost 6,000 yards. You know, the interceptions that he gave up last season, again, were mostly bouncing off receivers' hands. You couldn't really say it was his fault, other than maybe the Seattle game where he tried to put, he maybe should have gone for the 4th down, thrown the ball out, gone for the 4th down, and seen if he could make something last. But I mean, the way he played it the last couple of years, again, if he just has that supporting cast on the defense, last season could have been so different if he'd managed to stay all the way through.
Yeah.
I've got one a little bit of left field for you.
Go for it. I love it.
I'm going to say CD Lamb.
CD
Lamb. If we travel back to September last year, CD Lamb had 200-yard games in his first 5 games. They are not rookie numbers. And if any of you have seen CD Lamb lately, he looks more like a linebacker than a wide receiver.
He does look ripped.
He's no longer the wee twig that when we drafted him. He's definitely got a bit more swole.
He's had a full off season in the weight room, so I have no concerns that there will be a sophomore slump for CD Lamb. I think he's going to have a huge season.
Here's one for you then, and you may have picked the same guy here, but I got a funky one for you. Who's the guy you're going to watch the most and be most critical about? So give the biggest evaluation. For me, the guy I'm going to be very critical and watching very closely at the moment is Randy Gregory, because I think a lot is going to hinge on his performance. But the other guy is CD Lamb, because I want to see him, because we've as you were saying, great, everything. The only thing I want to add is when we drafted him, he was the #1 wide receiver in that draft. So you want him to be the alpha. So I want to see the alpha coming out in him in this camp. But hit me with yours, Paul. Who's the guy you want to evaluate and watch closely the most?
Mine's as simple as this. It's Jalen Smith. That's it. Like I think I know what Graham's is going to be from history, but I don't know. But for me, it has to be Jalen Smith. Like, how does he transition under Dan Quinn's leadership under the defense? We don't know yet. And in fact, actually, our good friend Prime, Star Gang, agrees, and with most fans, yes, exactly, mate. So, if Jalen can just cut out, stop doing too much and stick to his assignments, he'll be great. It'll be fine. But if he starts trying pre-anticipate where the running back's going to go or whatever on that, without
freelancing.
If he stops freelancing, he'll be great. Like, just cut out the freelancing. If that's that you just nailed it in a nutshell. If he cuts out the freelancing, great. So that's it. Jalen Smith.
Everybody else picking the same, or have you got different guys?
I'll move slightly further along the line or linebacker core. I'll go LVE. I want to see him take the next step as well. I mean, I want to see how Dan Quinn actually gets everybody involved in that linebacker room.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about it when we were talking about linebackers. Potentially, you've got great guys. You've got Jalen Smith, you've got LVE, you've got Jabril Cox, you've got Micah Parsons, and that's not including guys that, maybe are linemen that you'll maybe have as a stand-up linebacker as well, Dorrance Armstrong, that sort of thing. So just how Dan Quinn gets these guys on the field, gets them doing the work, that's the area that I'm going to be looking at the most, I think, is the linebackers.
Yeah. The only thing I will say about LVE is, like, he's going to be in camp for me a bit of this misnomer, because we know what they're going to do. They're going to say to LVE, look, just take it easy. We don't want you to hurt yourself. And we're all going to go like, oh, look how amazing LVE looks. But they're not going to get him to tackle. And what I'm worried about is then come the week one, he's going to have to get physical. He's going to have to take on blocks, which we know he can't do, because he's more tries and sheds blocks rather than take them on. And he's going to have to get down and dirty and do the tackling. And every time you're going to be going,
yep.
That's my only issue with LVE.
I think you'll certainly see them tackle when it comes to the intra-squad scrimmage against the Rams.
Yeah.
There'll be a bit of pride on the line there, and you can tell these guys not to tackle, but when the cameras are on them, particularly Hard Knocks, that sort of thing, these guys are going to be getting involved. And if they do what Jason Garrett used to do with the one-on-ones as well, where you've got him coming out and covering running backs in the competition period, that's what you want to see as well. You want to see him dropping back in coverage and going up against running backs, running stride for stride. So,
yeah. Anybody else got any other takes on that one, or do you want me to move on to the next one?
I'm desperate to hear what Graham has to say. I'm really
Go on then. Come on then, Gray.
I've bleated about it often enough. I mean, sorry, boys, it's got to be DeMarcus Lawrence. It's got to be.
I knew it.
I'm sorry, boys. It's got to be. I know I must sound like a broken record, and I get that PPF or PFF put him on this platform, this pedestal, but I'm sorry. He signed the deal, and the sacks fell off the cliff. There's no other way to explain it. How often do you see a player take a huge deal like that, and I'm sorry that the numbers drop?
He's not left at expectations pretty much based on the contract that he signed pretty much, and I agree with you.
He hasn't. He's the second highest. I've just checked over the cap. He is the second highest edge player paid in the league on $21 million. And if you think that 6.5 sacks is a good return for $21 million, I'm sorry, it's not.
If it was 10, then yes.
And I get all the conversation about, they run away from Lawrence, they run away to the side. Does the quarterback run away to the side as well on all those plays?
It depends on the play, I suppose. But it's not often. It's not often. That's the point, though.
If you're injured, fine, don't play. Get yourself fit and get yourself back to being 100%. Don't go out there and give me 65% of what you're there for. Because see when it all went south on us last year, you've got to rally round and say, right, who are cornerstone players? Who are the players that are going to stand out and make a difference and be that difference between a win and a loss. DeMarcus Lawrence should be at the front of that queue, if not a few places behind. And I'm sorry, boys, he wasn't there. He was not there. On a defense that's struggling, I get that. I get that there are so many things to do on a defense, and if one area of the field is not doing particularly well, teams are going to exploit that. But since he signed that deal, and I'm going to keep saying it, since he signed the $100 million deal, the sacks have suffered.
It's declined. It's definitely declined.
For me, a front four, if you're playing a 4-3 defense, your sacks come from your edge rushers, and it simply hasn't happened. Because if you rush 5, that means you're pulling one of your linebackers out of position, and you're putting them in the pass rush.
I'm definitely on board with that, because I really hope to God we've got Randy Gregory having his first ever preseason, his proper first ever preseason with the Cowboys since he signed when he was drafted back all those years ago. I really hope that's the case now, because like we all know that Gregory was it was going to be like a top 10 tier like defensive end as well. The fact we got him like second round, whatever, but obviously his issues, blah blah blah. But what I'm trying to see is the fact that we now got Gregory in a proper program, and now that like it's the trifecta now. It's like who the hell they're going to defend. So it's they can't just defend a D-Law unless they overcompensate with Gregory on the other side. So I definitely think with this season, D-Law definitely needs to step up from a statistical point of view, but I think that will naturally now happen now with Gregory now in the groove going forward, and especially under Dan Quinn. He might have some things that actually might accommodate these players and focus on the strong points, if you know what I mean. So we just need to wait and see. We just need to wait and see, mate.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I agree
so
with.
Go on, Jake.
I was just going to say I agree with all those, but I'm going to go a little left field on one, and I'm going to say Mike McCarthy.
Oh,
because at the end of the day, the players they go out there to do a job. But if Mike McCarthy cannot get this team mentally and physically prepared, cannot get the game plan down, this team will do shit this year.
It is true.
I know that's such a crappy thing, but it isn't.
Right,
no.
We've got a roster full of talent. It was wasted for years under Garrett. Now more of them have come into the prime. He's got them. If he can't get them right, both physically and mentally, the game plan right and get the game plan down, we're not going to do nothing this year.
Yep.
I
mean, Graham and I picked up on this last week when we were talking about coaches that, you know, McCarthy deserves the mulligan after all the factors that were involved last season with the COVID.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But this year, you know, touchwood, everything's going according to plan. We've had the OTAs, we've had the install, so you know they should be in camp in a better fitness than they probably were last season when they entered into training camp. You know, these guys should be able to hit the ground running, and it's up to McCarthy to have these guys G'd up and ready for the games. And if he can't do that, then we do have a problem. So I'll back Jamie up on that one.
And no disrespect to Green Bay, but you could argue that this roster is talented than any of the rosters that Mike McCarthy had at Green Bay. If you look at some of the rosters, he got the game plan right. Yeah, they had Aaron Rodgers, but they didn't have abundance of talent across that offensive line like we've got here. He had a great quarterback, but didn't have a really great running back. And look at how many years Rodgers has been trying to get him an elite number one receiver. And Dak's arguably got 2. You could even say 3 at the minute. It's just, So yeah.
Yeah, I suppose McCarthy's his legacy is forever entwined with the likes of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Much the same way that at the moment Bill Belichick is. Did he manage to do it because of Tom Brady, or did he manage to do it because he is the genius that he is? So there are questions about McCarthy as to whether he can reproduce the system. Now, admittedly, every system is different, every situation is different, but he needs to prove that it wasn't a case that Aaron Rodgers is the great QB that he thinks he is.
Guys,
yeah. But here's a nice segue then, because it was the next question on my list was, what are your expectations in camp from Mike McCarthy? We'll get back to a question that's on Mike McCarthy as well with Hard Knocks. But just right now, what are your expectations for him in camp?
Better than last season. That's all I hope for anyway. If it's better than last season, then great. Last season was just an absolute bomb scare. Like, you could probably put it all in his decision making by hiring. Like, we knew that from the get go. Him hiring Mike Nolan was just like, we kind of knew it was going to happen. We kind of like had that. It's like, you know what? We kind of maybe think like Mike Nolan might turn over a new leaf and actually do something good. Nah, it was just as crap as he was before.
Anybody got any expectations, or do you want me to get on to the next one? Because we can always come back to Mike McCarthy when we get onto that Hard Knocks conversation if you want. Do you want to go with that?
I think
because I think that's more of an interesting conversation. All right. Who is, for you guys, do you think the rookie that needs the most work? For me, I put Kelvin Joseph, as I mentioned earlier, for the reasons.
Yeah.
Didn't get OTAs, very low snap count in college. Physical attributes are there, but he's got the same issues Trayvon Diggs had, which was refinement and experience. But for you guys, who do you think is the rookie that needs the most work?
Micah Parsons.
Really?
Okay.
Only because
the gap here.
He's a high draft pick, and look at some of our high draft picks on defense over the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
This coaching staff need to give him every tool possible to be the linebacker that we saw in college and to transition it into the NFL.
And because he took the year off as well.
Yeah, and like I said, not because I think he's unpolished. I just think
to get up to stand.
It's a high expectation. So the expectations are automatically are up there for him.
I like that.
So they have to put him in every position to be able to produce what he produced at Penn State.
Reasoning solid. I like that, Jay. Good thinking. Lorne, you got one for us?
I was going to say Mukuamu. The fact that he is changing to safety now. Admittedly, he has played some safety in college, but it's hard enough to change position when you're a grizzled veteran. But to do it in your first training camp when you're still adjusting to the speed of the game. The intricacies of the pro game, it's not so much a case of just cover that quarter. It's take a step here, do this first, make them think you're doing one thing and go and do the other sort of thing. So that's probably the hardest transition, and you saw it to some extent when we drafted Byron Jones.
Yeah. And you don't fall into that same trap.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've got one for you. I'm going to say Jabril Cox because.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say Jabril Cox because.
Hey, DJ Dog.
If I'm honest, I think Joseph will win the second cornerback position. If I'm honest, so I look at Jabril Cox as in one of. You could basically say, right, our three linebackers are going to be Micah Parsons, Jalen Smith, and Leighton Vander Esch. I want Jabril Cox to say, "Oh, are they really?"
Yeah,
and I want him to challenge and dislodge one of them. Hopefully, it's not.
It's very possible. It's very possible, mate.
Hopefully, it's not Micah Parsons because we've literally just drafted him. But I mean, we've talked about it with Brian Rodgers in the past. He wasn't keen on the linebacker core at that particular time when we spoke to him. So if there's a jersey to be won there from an experienced player, I'm looking at Jabril Cox to go and win it.
Okay. Paul?
I'm on the same boat as Lauren, to be honest.
Okay, I like it. All right, well, here's one for you then. Which rookie that you think could be a bit lower down on the pecking order, though, you've got the most hope for? I mentioned my guy already, which was Nation, right? I've written the article up on him. So my thoughts today, I really hope this guy absolutely nails camp. Good news is, as we had the comments coming in, they have said from Star Gang saying he has had a good camp so far. He's looking good. So he's definitely smashing the narrative right now. And I do really, really hope he makes this roster. But go on, Paul, hit me with your guy.
I'm hoping Boana is going to do it.
Yeah, okay, I like that one.
Yep.
Yep.
I'll go Simi for Hoku. I want to see what he can do. You know, the you know, can he adjust from the simple route tree that Stanford run to again to the pro game? Again, he's got speed. I think we briefly again talked last week about we don't have a receiver that can take the top edge off the defense.
Yeah.
For Hoku potentially has that ability to do that. You know, he is used to run. Obviously, he is used to running the 9 route a lot of the time. But
yeah,
if we can just do certain things that you know, get him in space a bit more, you know, and give another weapon that isn't going to cost you as much as somebody like Cedric Wilson. We need competition at the lower end of the wide receiver group as well.
And in our positional breakdown series that we did in the off season, we spoke during the wide receiver about the Noah Brown versus Simi Fehoko battle that could happen there, because they're basically the same player. The only difference is you're paying one for the experience and the other one costs less, literally half the price. So I think that's a very interesting battle to watch. So that's a good one. But go on then, Gray.
We've not talked about him yet. Josh Ball.
Oh,
See if he doesn't make that roster. See if he ends up on a practice squad or being released. We're in deep, deep trouble.
Oh God! I didn't even thought about that. Jesus Christ!
I'm telling you, I cannot mind the exact date, but I told our listeners, I told you four, Josh Ball will start in December. I'm telling you.
Oh.
Just before we move on, I just want to give a wee shout out to Carmen Arcanen who just commented there. Thanks for swinging by, coming onto the show, sending some love to the Road Cowboys.
Yeah, loving it. You could tell everybody's hyped and happy. Here's one for you, and I'll ask you first, Jay. Some preseason hype you won't buy. If you want, I'll give you mine, right? They're basically, it can be a story, a narrative, like Dak throwing interceptions, or it can be players. For me, I got 2 guys. I've actually got 4, but I'll only give you 2 for now. For me, it's Dorrance Armstrong and Bradley and I. I'm just not going to buy into that hype. Dorrance Armstrong, he's spent every preseason, in camp and preseason games, he comes out, he looks absolutely great. Then week 1 of the regular season happens and he fades into the background and you see nothing. For me, Bradley and I, the other guy, I do like him, don't get me wrong. It's just that I just think that on this roster, I can't see how he can make the roster. What's he going to do? What's his role? He needs to absolutely fire out the blocks, and I don't know. I just can't see it. But honestly, go on, Lorne. Sorry, I was asking Jay. I'll ask Jay, and then I'll ask you, Lorne.
Right, don't laugh. I'm going to say Leighton Van Der Esch. I've seen enough. I don't think after this year is a Cowboy. I've seen enough.
That's fair.
I would, and we haven't seen him. I would. The 3 linebackers for me to start would be Jalen Smith, Micah Parsons, and
Jabril
Cox. I would feel a lot more comfortable with that, seeing what we've seen from Leighton Van Der Esch over the last few years.
Well, I've lit a fire under Jamie.
Had to do it, Jay. Someone had to do it.
No, to be fair to Jay, he's always loved Jabril Cox. He's loved him from day one.
And it's even worse because he plays for LSU, being a Texas fan.
Here's a funny one. Here's a funny one that's just come in. Zeke in an interview asked to reflect on Dak when he was in hospital. Said he met him when he was completely out of it on various concoctions of drugs for the pain. And he just, Zeke walked in to go and give him a hug, and all he got in his comatose state was, "Feed me."
Oh God, really? Come
Brilliant.
on.
Brilliant.
Come on.
But go on then, Lon.
That's going to be a bullshit article. Come on.
That's from Jane Slayer.
Shut up.
Yeah. But go on, Ron. Give me your preseason hype you won't buy.
Right. Anybody that's standing in at the right guard, left guard position, whether it's Connor Williams, Connor McGovern.
Okay.
Training camp until you actually see them go in a red hot situation, game match day. You can be running easy against the opposition in offensive line drills, team, what have you. You can be pushing guys around, but until you're actually, everybody is red hot and ready to go for this for making a play, then that's where you want to see it. So I think the last couple of years we've had guys talking about how brilliant Connor Williams looks. The change that he.
Who said that?
Oh, there was stuff. If you can actually go back, you can have a look in the daily reports of last year's training camp, and there was days where he's gone.
I was just going to say, Lawrence, when have we ever seen? I'm sorry, but I'm going to go off a freaking rant. When have we ever seen Connor Williams being fantastic? Never.
Tell you what, if you'd have seen that boy at Texas, holy shit, you would have thought it was steal of the draft.
Just so you know as well, that is happening right now. Dan Quinn is pushing Micah Parsons round.
In a pram?
just on the field. He's literally shoving him around. It's looking quite good, actually. But I just thought I'd throw that around.
Just to kind of follow what you just said there, Mike, I'm just loving the fact that we're actually getting an actual defensive coordinator. Is actually giving one-to-ones with individual players to work on specific things. We did not have that at all. Mike Nolan was just pretty much a guy in a microphone 30 yards back and telling other people what to do.
Run faster.
Do something.
Do this. Do that.
He was like the guy up in the tower in Rudy and all that, where you see them going, right, okay, run that play again, And...
Yeah. But I do have two other guys, purely on the basis of is one of the deepest positions on our roster, and two, they haven't really done anything, is Francis Bernard and Luke Gifford. I think they're really stuffed on a roster spot right now. But here's the next one for you then. Undrafted free agent watch. Two guys you on the undrafted free agent you guys are going to be watching. For me, the two guys is TJ Vasher. He's injured at the moment, but when he comes in, I really want to see what he can do. I love the size and the length, what he can provide. The other guy then is Nick Eubanks, the tight end. Be quite interesting to see how he gets along. DJ Dog, funnily enough, giving us his insights. Anthony Hines, Tyler Cole, sleepers that he feels may make the team. Anthony, great guys. But give me your guys. Undrafted free agent watch. Who are you guys looking out for?
Here's one for you.
I'm just going to say all of them because I love this time of year because there's always an undrafted free agent.
The underdog.
That always steps up. That always gets a bit of the light shone on him. Shows why teams were wrong to overlook them. So I know it's a boring answer, but literally any of them because they make up the bulky roster, and they're willing to go all out to get it.
Yeah, of course. All right, and let me get an easier question for you guys then. Who's a guy you're not worried about making the roster? For me, Cooper Rush.
My boy Neville Gallimore, come on. My boy.
No, I mean not making a roster spot. So like a guy that you want to keep Neville Gallimore, didn't you? I mean a guy you're not worried if he doesn't make the roster.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Boana then. Boana. Just in because I'm just kind of thinking from the business side of things that you might not make the cut. It's not much of a loss, but I really but I really have a really good high expectation of him being that guy that can actually stuff like two offensive linemen trying to block him type of thing. I think he can be that guy who can actually open up gaps for other players. I really hope he can be that guy.
Anybody else want to add one?
Well, I'll take who I think, we should probably just go with two quarterbacks to start the season. So, if it's DiNucci and Cooper Rush that are cut, then I'm not bothered about that.
Okay.
As long as we can either pick somebody up to go in the practice squad, or you've got that insurance, because again, who knows, we may have a COVID outbreak at some point and you need to bring somebody in and have somebody ready on the roster. So as long as we can get somebody to go on the practice squad who has some experience. DiNucci last year, I mean, yes, you can say it was his first game. It was a bit like, throwing
a sheep into the wolves, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, all of these movies that you see, Footsteps, Falco, Steaming Willie Beeman, the first game that he played as well, where, they come in and they're like, oh my God, what's, deer in the headlights sort of thing.
It's funny that, isn't it? It's funny that every scenario of the movie is actually kind of true.
Yeah. But I like where you're going with this, Lon. So I'm going to ask everybody: is everyone in agreement that the quarterback 2 position is not clearly defined? That in fact,
that's
the quarterback.
That's going to be the battle. The battle for backup.
Yeah, I mean the quarterback 2 position to me. I would even go as far to say that quarterback is not on the roster yet.
I was just going to say the same thing.
I'm going to stick with my guns. I liked what I saw from Blaine Gabbert. I liked what I saw from...
Sure.
Garrett Gilbert, you mean?
Sorry.
Yeah, Garrett Gilbert, yeah.
Sorry. Fuck.
Not the first time that's happened, Paul. Chill.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? No, you know what I mean? Gabbert, yeah.
I'll be honest, boys. I don't really care who the second. Pretty honest. Listen, I've said since this podcast started. Listen, see if any starting quarterback goes down, apart from them winning that season, that one time, that once that they won it once. If your quarterback number 1 goes down, your season's finished.
Effectively, yeah.
It's simple as that. And like what you're saying, Mike, about the quarterback not being on the roster, absolutely true. Yeah, absolutely true. I think there'll be a flood of quarterbacks released, and we'll just go and pick somebody up. We'll pick up a veteran, because these guys, I reckon, have had long enough. We tossed and turned between them during the season. Yes, they were thrown into the wolves, but this is the NFL we're talking about. And if you're not going to push Dak Prescott, what are you doing here? So you get, and it's ruthless. It's absolutely ruthless. But that's why they're paid. That's why the best of them are paid $40 million, because there aren't 32 of them around. There's always somebody that needs a quarterback.
Guys, I just had a crazy imagination just pop up my fucking mind here, and hear me out here. I know it sounds fucking crazy, right? And everyone's going to go fucking apeshit and call me out saying, what the fuck are you thinking here? What if we made a trade, right?
Here we go.
Trade talk.
Right. But it's a player is in the end of his career, right? And what other player do we know that, given the circumstances, they can actually pull shit out the hat and make things work?
Oh no, no, I'm not. I'm about to disconnect you. No, we are not going there. We're not going down that road.
They haven't said his name, and we all know who you're talking about.
Who do you think I'm talking about?
Number 12 is not available for this roster.
Come on, say the name. Say the name. Come on.
We're not going down that road because it is a.
You're talking about Nick Foles, aren't you?
No. I am not talking about Nick Foles. I am talking about the bearded wonder.
Fitzmagic.
Aye.
He's in Washington.
I know he's in Washington, but that's what I'm saying. Trade.
They're not going to let the starting quarterback go.
Who?
In the same division. In the same division.
Let's be honest. They might actually use their first string quarterback as their starter for all we know.
You know what? We might have had a better chance at getting Dwayne Haskins and his wife.
You know what? Just with the fact that obviously.
I know, but like I said, it was just a crazy imagination. Just take it with a pinch of salt.
I actually like the idea. I was just kind of touching on more kind of what Gray was saying. I think we all agreed, like pretty much apart from when those arseholes from up the
I was being slightly more diplomatic.
Yeah.
Right, here's one for you though, right?
Let's Jimmy being diplomatic.
But you said, if you start in QB goes down, you're effectively not going to win the Super Bowl. So rather than get some kid in and pay him $2.5 million, just keep on kicking a call, man. He's out and about. He's cutting somebody's grass. You know what I mean? Just get him on veteran minimum. Just get him the rest to cut and let him under Ash.
Here's one for you though. Talking about going to the waiver wire to get a guy, which position do you think is more likely? For me, is really obvious. I think, sure, they might look at the quarterback 2 position and bring a guy in. For me, though, that is desperate need when you look at it. I reckon it's a defensive tackle. They're going to bring in a veteran defensive because it's just that defensive line is still really bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not that it's bad. Actually, I take that back. It's not bad. There's just a lot of question marks. A lot of question marks.
In fact, I've actually got a return question in relation to that, Mike.
Sure.
What's the situation with Jerry McCoy? Is he actually coming back? Is he being brought back
He's still on the wire. He's still a free agent. There's not any animosity between Gerald McCoy and the Dallas Cowboys because when he left on what was written into his contract about his medical condition. He is a free agent. In terms of where he's at with his physicality, his injury, I don't know though, because he still hasn't been picked up.
Because I thought that the whole thing was like, even though they kind of let him go, but there was always like we always had like the first option to bring him back in or something like that.
They just own his rights.
Right, okay, right. That's what it was.
As much as I agree that it probably depleted, I think safety's worse than the defensive line. That back end is awful. Without a doubt, I would probably put my mortgage on it that the Cowboys will take.
Jamie, I agree 100%, mate. 100%. Safety for me is the one position that we seem to be kind of moving players left, right, and center to accommodate the position rather than getting an actual proper safety.
But don't you think that if you make your defensive line stronger and better, that helps your safeties?
Yeah, I totally agree.
The left hand feeds the right, if you know what I mean.
But you also need to think of it as well. Like if the quarterback stalls back, seeing that his wide receivers are being stalled up by cornerbacks and safeties, then it's going to help our defensive line as well. It's not just a one-way pattern. It's
of course. No, I know.
Sorry, Paul. for me, I think safety is still a very important position because they can still read the quarterback and make the quarterback rethink again and having to go to plan B. And when it comes to plan B, there might be no time. And next thing you know, there's a defensive end or there's a defensive tackle right in their face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think, though, that when you look at it, as it stands, right, I was going through the roster yesterday, actually, ready for training camp. And I was going, which defensive tackle is likely to have the highest snap count? For me, which is absolutely crazy to say, and which is why I think they're going to go and get another defensive tackle to come in, is Terrell Basham is going to have the highest snap count. And he wasn't even on this roster last year.
I agree. And saying it, like you said, that it needs addressing, and kind of just to flip back a little bit, like what you and Paul both saying there, that in terms of, would you rather have that front four, maybe front seven strong, so it takes the pressure off the safeties, but then also, if that offensive line is good and stops the pressure, would you then would you be more comfortable knowing that you've got, say, a Richard Sherman back there? I'm just using him because we know what he was.
Don't mention that name.
I know.
What I mean, in terms of what he was years ago, having a Richard Sherman type of guy back there, or a Pee Wee fucking Herman back there that's not going to do shit. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather have a Richard Sherman there just on the off chance.
Richard Sherman or Pee Wee Herman? We will find out.
I was going to use Mr. Bean, but then I thought, anybody from America watching Mr. Bean?
Our American audience, they may not be familiar with who Mr. Bean is, to be fair.
I don't know. He's pretty popular. But
another name for consideration is Geno Atkins, who was cleared for football activity 2 days ago.
He was. And the team doctor, Cowboys team doctor, did his surgery.
Yep.
But here's one for you then, right, guys?
I was going to say, like, if there was one question, if there's one question I thought you'd just like, what about what free agent are we most excited about as well? And when you mentioned, when you said Terrell Basham, it's like that's the guy I'm actually, him and Urban are the two guys I'm most intrigued about.
Urban, yeah.
Brent Urban could probably have a really high snap count too. It's just really weird when you look at it, because Neville Gallimore isn't bad. The trouble with Neville Gallimore is you'll watch him and
don't you diss my boy.
Listen, is you will see Neville Gallimore and you'll go like, oh, what an amazing play. And then you'll see him again, what an amazing play. Then all of that is mitigated by this crazy play, and you're just like, what the hell was he doing? And I
disagree. He was hardly given any snap at all. He was
playing down the middle. If you want him to rush the passer down the middle, amazing. Play him against the run, he just gets moved off his block way too easily. Way too easily. And it's a technique. It's a technique issue.
The other stuff, like say, if you look at his tape from, I think it was Chicago, wasn't it? Like, it didn't get a huge amount of snaps, but if you look at it, it caused a lot of problems. It caused a lot of destruction.
Yeah.
It caused that inside part of the offensive line.
I think the defensive line, a lot of the defensive line, because there's a big question mark over it. But the big where it can go right is if Neville Gallimore progresses and Tristan Hill, because we still don't know with Tristan Hill what we've got. He's still a massive question mark. And bear in mind, Tristan Hill was taken by the previous coaching staff. So there's no loyalty to him whatsoever. That he could be the next guy out of the door as well. So there's a big question mark on him. So that's just why I think that the defensive tackle would be where they look in the free agency market.
Hill's on his final year of his contract as well, is he not?
No, he's got, this is year 3.
He's on a 4. Yeah. So this next year would be his contract year. But let's get into the.
What I would say about Gallimore is that the scheme change again last year that Mike Nolan brought in. It did not suit him. Yeah. One of the podcasts I listened to was Sean Merriman's podcast with Gerald McCoy, and Gerald McCoy said that once he'd got out of his boot and everything like that, he was actually working with Neville Gallimore during his off days, working with.
Yeah.
There was another professional coach that they were working with during the off days, and it was just trying to get him to change from the scheme that he'd been doing in college to, I can't remember whether it was attacking the gaps, which is what he was doing in college, to what Nolan wanted was holding the guys up. If the scheme's better for them, then great. These guys, you saw the way that Gallimore came on in the second half of the season once we cut loose the dead weight.
Who's the dead weight?
Gee, with the sneaky comment there.
But yeah. No, I know exactly where you're going. But let's move on very quickly, because yesterday we saw the opening press conference with Jerry Jones. Actually, he was fairly emotional. Spoke to Derek Eagleton, sent him a message saying he was quite emotional during his talk. So the most interesting comment I think he made, well, the two, was the one that he made. He said, "I would do absolutely anything known to man to win another Super Bowl." He had quite a lot to say. We spoke about Randy Gregory earlier. He was hoping, because that seems to be Jerry's pet cat. Very much does love Randy Gregory, stuck with a loyalty, and he's excited to see what he's going to do. Spoke about Dak, as well as some other players. As I said, mentioned about the COVID situation, said there's a handful left to go, a handful being 5. So there's 5 players to get them past the 85%. So once they get past 85%, there's a lot more that can open up to them. Under the rules, they've said, look, you must get 80. So I think out of a 90-man roster, they've got to have 77 double vaccinated.
So just to Alex, I hadn't really looked into that rule a lot. But is there any repercussions of not getting to that by, say, the end of camp or by the first preseason game?
I'm not entirely sure, but I know that if you don't hit the 85% in terms of training and what you can do in your building, you're restricted. Believe it or not, there are, in fact, 2 teams in the NFL that aren't even at 50%.
Wow.
Yep. I wonder who.
It's crazy.
There was even a memo just released a couple of hours ago by the NFL as well that, this year, if there's a COVID outbreak on your team, rather than them juggling the schedule to fit, there'll be forfeits, there'll be fines, there'll be all sorts of things, especially if you're one of these teams that are not under the limit as well. And you had the whole Michael Irvin thing where he's come out and lambasted people for not getting their
he very much did.
Now, my understanding, I was listening to Ed Werder today on the Doomsday podcast, and they were saying they reckon at the moment it's probably about 70% of the Cowboys are double vaccinated.
I think it was 77%.
Yeah, the rest are even if you've had your second jab at the moment, you're not counted as being double vaccinated until 2 weeks afterwards as well.
That's right.
This is why Jerry is saying that basically anybody will be able to play come the Hall of Fame game. He's got no, and you maybe these 5 players, maybe they're acting like Cole Beasley. Maybe that's why one of the reasons why we also got rid of Rashard Robinson last week.
Could be.
Maybe there's something there. Admittedly, he had the drug suspension hanging over him as well, but
which is the biggest factor.
Yeah. But
you makes you wonder as well. Actually, don't it? Like Lauren just said, you're not classed as double jabbed until you've been to it. I wonder if those 5 players are they've had it, but they're just not in that 2 week out of that 2 week period.
Well, Stephen Jones during the press conference did make a comment about it and said that they're like literally a couple of weeks away from reaching the threshold. So it could be like Lorne was saying, that they've had that vaccination, but they're just waiting for that period to finish. Didn't give a date. There was no date, but he did say that they're like a couple of weeks away from being up to the threshold. So there is some news there, because Mike McCarthy also made the same comment and said he didn't want to get vaccinated. Got educated, got some information, got the facts, and he is now. He's done. He said he's going ahead and getting that sorted, which is fine, which is fair enough. But the other big comment, which we posted on our social media, was Jerry Jones talking about Jimmy Johnson. Got quite emotional about it. Personally, as we wrote in the article or the little post that we put on our social media, I think it's pretty much done for that. Jimmy is going to make the Ring of Honor now. But one of the things he did say, and he got quite upset about, is he said, look, I don't know how it happened, but I fucked up. And he actually said that. Very emotional about it. Very happy he's going into the Hall of Fame. But I think that we all know there was the animosity, and whatever the issues were, I think there's more to what we know and what was being told. We will never, ever know the truth. But it is good to see that whatever it was, there's still something there, because Jerry got quite emotional about it. What do you guys make on that?
Yeah, like, I only saw it briefly in that, but that for me, like, I think Jerry realizes what happened between him and Jimmy, like it's, you can see he's in more of a regret side of letting him go.
Definitely.
Like, so it's definitely on Jerry's part of firing him rather than rather than Jimmy like quitting or anything like that. Well, obviously that wasn't the case, obviously, but I mean,
it was a tricky one, wasn't it?
It's a tricky one. Like, it's history now. Jimmy Johnson's forever going to be a Cowboys legend. He deserves to be in the Ring of Honor. Deserves to be in the Hall of Fame for what he's accomplished with the Dallas Cowboys. Absolutely. Like, but I think for Jerry to get a wee bit emotional, I don't know if it's just because he knows him, like, he misses that winning mentality. He misses it. And it's getting him more built up. Like, it seems like every season now, going year after year after year, you're seeing more Jerry getting more during press conferences. Whenever, like, see for example the whole Dak Prescott conference, you can see how excited he was. He's got him nailed down, type of thing. Like, you saw him when he got Micah Parsons, blah blah blah. Like, you seen him, he's getting a bit more. I don't know how to describe him, but it just seems a wee bit. I don't know if it's the word desperate.
A lot of the stuff is more in the limelight, innit? Like, I'm not saying he doesn't care about the players, but like you say, the thing obviously the presser yesterday, the stuff with Micah Parsons, we normally hear those stories coming out that he's like that with people, but everyone's always seen Jerry as this kind of this rough, tough exterior, and he's got this persona, and you don't ever hear about it, and he's this lovey-dovey kind of person in the background, and you never really see it, and that's why probably a lot of people don't like him, because you don't see that kind of thing with him. And like I said, it might just because to be fair as well, it comes to us all. I mean, age comes to us all, doesn't it? And like you say, you look back and you reflect and you think, do you know what? Shit happened. Do you know what I mean? And
and I think he knows that, you know, it would have been probably comments that he made or a lack of patience, and he knows that they're the things. And if maybe he had just not done that, or if he had just said that, or if he had just and he'd look back and think, why did I do that? You know what I mean? When you know, the old saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it, and that's what he tried to do, and he lives with that regret.
Yeah, it's the cockiness of youth that obviously the comment that really boiled Jimmy Johnson over was obviously that Jerry had been heard drinking in the bar. Anybody can coach. And I think we discussed it last week. Jimmy has said that, you know, he's open to going in the Ring of Honor. It's just a case of them agreeing to it. You know, Jerry was very contrite during his 2017 Hall of Fame induction speech. You know, he was sort of giving a lot of the credit to Jimmy there. You know, we need to see how Jimmy reciprocates this time round, whether you know, whether that is the sort of final melting of the iceberg as such. they've basically.
And do you think, Lorne, that if he doesn't, we know which side of the camp then was the issue?
I think, yeah, possibly. I mean, they're both at the
Do you
stage
see where I'm going?
where, yeah, they're both at the stage where life is catching up with you, and everybody talks about, how often do you hear about the window for the Cowboys? Well, this is the window for Jerry. There is no escaping old father time at all. So Jerry's wanting a one last hurrah, and I joked last week that maybe Jimmy's got a sort of Babe Ruth curse on the Cowboys, that he said I'm on my
the curse of the Bambino.
As soon as you part ways with the rest of the team that I've constructed together, then that's it. You're not going to get anybody. And Switzer just happened to win on the back of Jimmy's Jimmy's squad that he put together.
Just to throw a little sidebar in there on back of what Lawrence is. You think as well that with this kind of stuff now coming out, this could be the last head coach of the Jerry era, and he could potentially be looking at if this maybe this season, the season after doesn't work with Mike McCarthy, we cut ties with Mike McCarthy, and he just hands the reins up to Stephen full time.
I don't think so. I think that if this doesn't,
I mean, sorry, in terms of the football side, he'll still run the Cowboys as a business because he's a great businessman. I'm not saying he's a crap at the football side, but you think, you know what, it's time to the game's moved on from what it was when he took the team on. Let him focus on the business and let Stephen and co run the football inside.
The only thing I will say to that is, from having conversations with guys over in Dallas, is that that he absolutely adores Kellen Moore. That's his next Jason Garrett, if you like. Yeah. He just, honestly, and that's why he hasn't gone anywhere. He thinks he's amazing. And I think that if Mike McCarthy doesn't work out, maybe not this year, if he doesn't work out this year, he's in the hot seat for me. So the year after, if Mike McCarthy doesn't produce what Jerry's looking for, that's it done. And then he's going to bring Kellen Moore up. And then he will wait to see if Kellen Moore can succeed. And I think then that will be where Jerry starts cooling off, I think, from there. That will be it for him,
Just how crazy that to think that we've had these kind of head coaches in. Kellen Moore takes over with the Super Bowl.
From what I hear, he's like a lot of people talk about the mind with Kellen Moore, that he just knows football and that he's constantly evolving it. Which, by the but that is something that we will be looking at next week, is looking at the coaches once we have a week of training camp. We'll get to see how they're interacting. But here's a new segment for the year. We will each week be looking at Hard Knocks, talking about it, talking about what we've seen, what we heard. Now, everything has been set up. It was set up about a week and a half ago. All the cameras, everything put in place, ready to rock. Now, it is on the 10th of August. That's the premiere. The first thing for me, which is where I went back to at the start of this show, was with Mike McCarthy. For me, I think training camp is important to look at Kellen Moore, Dan Quinn, and Fassel as well. How they're doing is very instrumental on what the season is. But for me, with Hard Knocks, because you get to see behind the scenes, we get to see what Mike McCarthy's interactions are like with everything else. Yep. And that's the thing I'm going to be looking at, is more than Mike McCarthy interactions. We know, we've spoken about this before, we know what Mike McCarthy is like in his press conferences, where he slips the tongue most of the time and messes up with something. And we all put our heads in our hands and are like, Mike, no. But for me, I want to see the interactions with the coaches as well as with Jerry and Stephen, what he's like behind the scenes. And that's going to be really instrumental for me on what's important. But for you guys, what do you want to see then coming out of Hard Knocks?
Dan Quinn's interaction.
Dan
as
Quinn's,
well.
yeah, sure.
Like for me, you kind of like that's the main thing I'm really looking
Yeah.
forward to is how our head coach.
What's he like?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like that alone, and the fact that we've actually got a proper defensive coordinator in our books, and we can actually see what he's like. Like I've just saw a video posted by Big Game James there. I was doing his one-on-ones with Randy Redray there. That alone to me is getting me excited. It's proper one-on-one coaching, and we're seeing that. And if Hard Knocks can capture some of those moments, and I can actually, it's going to get me more and more on board of this, how this team's going to go forward. I really do.
Yeah.
I really, really, really want to see coach lose their shit. And what I mean by that is when someone messes up on a play or top player's not doing something, you'll see them piss and moan on the sidelines and be like, what are they doing? And I want to see them in the office just pick up a chair and slam the shit against the wall and say, like, what the fuck was Dak seeing when he threw that interception in the training? You know what I mean? It's like, you never see that. You see him piss and moan outside, but I want to see some chairs flying around and people getting heated.
Give him the chair.
Yeah. You think I get it all? Bam.
Go on then, Greg. What are you most excited that you want to see?
I want to see the depth chart of the defense of 2020 thrown out the window. I want to see if somebody slips on a play, gets beat deep, pulls a jersey, trips somebody over. I want to see them out of there and somebody else in. I'm fed up with
ruthlessness.
He's our starting corner, and he's our starting corner for the entire season, day one. And they've just decided that's it. He's our guy. He's next. He's next, and he's next. That's got to go. It's open season for every single position on that defense.
Lorne,
I want to see some proper competition.
Lorne, what have you got? Who do you want to most see on Hard Knocks?
Piggybacking on what some of you guys have already said, I want to see how the interaction is between Dan Quinn, Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore, Jim Fassel, because all these guys have been either tipped to be head coaches, either at college level, have been head coaches. So, you know, how these egos sort of interact. And I actually went back, I have the old VHS videotapes of Dave Campbell back in 2002.
Yeah.
And Dave Campbell, for all he was a great safety and secondary coach, and he was an okay defensive coordinator as well. Again, probably piggybacking a bit on the work that Dave Wanstead and Butch Davis did. But, you know, he, as a head coach, he didn't have it, and you could see that he didn't have it. He was the egos of the offensive coordinator at the time, the defensive coordinator, which offensive coordinator I think was even Bruce Coslett at the time. So, you know, when we were trying to go to a West Coast offense type of thing, you could see that he wasn't controlling the coaching staff, and you saw in the All or Nothing, you saw that Jason Garrett had a bit of control, but even then, you know, you had the interaction between Jerry, where Jerry was stopping the coaching meeting and saying something. You know, does Mike McCarthy have that control? Thanks, Jerry, for your comments. Let's talk about this. So,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, that's a good fair point. Because that's one thing I feel as though is like Jerry still controlled that whole bloody boardroom pretty much of all the coaches. Is like Jason was like, yeah, we do this, we do that, and then Jerry would come over and give his say, and it was like everyone was more paying attention to what Jerry had to say rather than what Jason had to say. But I want to add on top of what you were trying to say there, Mike. I can't even remember now. See what else.
About the Jerry Mike McCarthy interactions, which is exactly what it's going with what Ron says.
It's more of a combination what you said and what James said. It's like I want to see Mike McCarthy go off on people. I want to see him not abuse, but I want to see players actually getting the fucking message of actually get your shit together, make the next play, do better. Like, if there was one head coach of one season of Hard Knocks that we did get to see that, it was the Texans coach at one point. the
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien.
yeah, like it's like get JG in there. I want him to see him do that. Like that idea. Like if we can actually get a coach that actually say like I want a point to prove, get someone else in there. It doesn't matter if they're a star or not. Like I know saying JJ is a bad example because he is a star and an all pro bowler and all that, but you know what I mean. No, it's like he's not afraid to put someone else in. But you saw in the scenes during that season of Hard Knocks with the Houston Texans. Trash team, but still, I had to throw it in there. But you saw Bill O'Brien actually getting after the players, even the guys that had no chance getting in the team. You would actually have that interaction with them. It's like, you guys need to do better. You need to do this. You need to do that. That's what I want from McCarthy.
And that's exactly what I mean. It's generally all the interactions between him, his coordinators, position coach, the staff. Jerry, the players, generally everything. That's what I'm going to be watching more than anything in Hard Knocks, and everything else is just more fun and games. Do you know what I mean? But I'll ask the last question before we wrap things up here, and this is more of a fun one. Who do you think on Hard Knocks gets the first musical montage?
What do you mean by me? What do you mean?
Like a workout montage. There's always one, isn't there, straight away off the bar. And I personally think it's going to be Zeke. You're going to see Zeke like getting the ball, running, and then it'll be on to the next thing, and then he's running up and down the field, and they've got the music going on, and it's really intense.
Oh, so like for example, like what the LA Rams did, it was all focused on Aaron Donald doing his workouts, pretty much.
yeah. Right. They do it every year with a particular player. Like when you talked about Houston, it was JJ Watt in the dark pushing a tire, and then doing drills all on his own.
I think it's going to be Dak. I think it'll be Dak.
Dak,
I think so as well.
It has to be. He is America's team's quarterback. Sorry, the world's team's quarterback. I do apologize. He's coming back from a massive injury. It's his comeback season. He's signed a brand new contract. All the cameras are going to be on him, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's what I think.
I'll go one better than that, Mike. I'll tell you the tune. It's that first one, the first episode. It's da-da-da-da.
That's it. Yeah.
It's just going to be Dak. Actually throwing the ball, like spinning the ball in the air in slow motion.
Yeah. Or maybe a shoe, spinning a shoe, spinning the shoe on his finger, Jordan.
That'll be the first 5 minutes before they've even done the opening credits. That'll be that'll be the focus there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
I think I agree with Mike. I think before I said it, just because Paul put a comment on, and it was Miami Marlins, a guy called Pete, and obviously I know it's a baseball thing, but I'll tell you what, if it's a baseball man, follow Pete and Scorchy stuff. Some of the stuff he comes out is hilarious. Like it's some great content if you're a baseball fan. But sorry, but like when you just to kind of flip on what you were saying about the first montage, I think Zeke's going to be the first ending one. Do you know? Like it's like
I know what you mean.
They'll say like next week on Hard Knocks, and then like it'll like do the rest of the credits, and you'll see him kind of filtering out, and it'll be like someone like Zeke will be coming off and like he'll be walking out of training camp with like fucking some flip flops on and some donuts in his hand, going fuck yeah, and like next thing, and it'll be like Zeke just smashes through somewhere like I don't know, fucking Joe McCoy.
I will guarantee there will be a clip of Mike McCarthy in this montage looking absolutely fucking fuming. Guaranteed. Like he'll be like that or something like that. You know what I mean?
You know, if there's a montage where you see Jerry at training camp with a pair of 3/4 jeans on and a pair of training camp next year.
No. There's going to be a montage of Jerry coming off a helicopter with sunglasses or his fucking yacht. That's it. He'll be doing the whole Vince McMahon fucking walk or something like that. The billionaire strut. That will be the montage of Jerry. Other than that, you'll see Zeke, you'll see Dak throwing the balls, Zeke running hard. You'll see Mike McCarthy going meh or something.
You know, actually, just to flip back on something you'll say, it'll be nice to see when we were talking about people kind of coaches getting a bit, angry and Kellen Moore, because he always seems to have this nice guy
Oh,
persona.
that is a
He say
shout,
boo to a
Jamie.
goose.
Like,
Now, if Kellen Moore flips someone off or something, it'd be fucking
Like,
mint.
let's be honest, right? And that is a really good point, Jamie. Like, when have we actually seen Kellen Moore look fucking pissed off? Hardly ever. Like
the worst one you ever seen is that GIF that goes on it where he's sat reading like the playbook on the sideline. He just
drops it.
I'm
That
sure,
is good.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm sure Kellen Moore is an absolute genius and stuff. I still have every favour of him. But when you actually do see him when he's actually highlighting in television, the sideline, sitting down with that or Andy Dalton, it looks like a pure puzzle kid with a Windows Surface going.
you always think it could be like.
I mean? Like, if we can have that, right, guys, that was pish. Throw the ball over that direction or something like that. If we can have that type of interaction from Kellen Moore, it gives us a better, more better
you always envision of him, don't you? Like, it could be the Super Bowl. It's the last play, and Dak throws an interception, and the Patriots run it back for a touchdown to win it. And like Kellen Moore, but just like walks him in, like clapping and goes, "Unlucky Dak, it's one of them." But like, when it's Bill Belichick, he'd be headbutting him, saying, "What the?"
Yeah. There we go. What? Well, lovely bit of dialogue there. Thank you very much. Hey, guys. But no, but we will be every week while we're into the preseason be reviewing the episodes of Hard Knock. So there'll be the Hard Knock segment coming in at the end, and we'll get your comments and emotional feelings on it all as we go through. But we are going to end this show. But before we do, it's on to the Bills. Yes, if you go to a game this year, make sure you visit Cowboys Experience. They have their game day packages. We have posted up as well about their tailgate parties, and there is one for the week 1 game against the Bucks. Make sure you go and visit their site. We have all the details on our social media as well as the details on screen. And when you do, make sure you tell them UK Cowboys sent you using the UK Cowboys code, because, guys, if you do, what happens?
You get free stuff.
Don't be a client.
It's just that easy. And all you do is you just say those words, 2 letters, and Cowboys. Which, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're saying anyway.
Yep.
There you go. But there we go.
Just gotta hope that the president actually allows the UK flights, because I know Paul was a bit fuming earlier this week. So
we've just extended the podcast by half an hour.
Yeah. So we won't go into that right now. We can always talk about that on another day once we get a bit closer. But that is season 2, episode 125. Season 3 coming very, very shortly. But from myself, from Lorne, from Paul, Graham, and Jamie the Godfather, it is UK Cowboys TV. We'll see you next week. End us off then, guys.
Okay, have a good one, guys.
Catch you later, guys. Have a good one.
See you next time.
And I am pressing the wrong button.